accounts under various different names, and I believe a lot of these accounts we sent out an invitation to for this meeting. So please feel free to ask me any questions while we're going through this. Anyone's happy to answer any of those. First thing is I wanted to make sure that everyone knew exactly how to post a job and how that algorithm works. When you first log into your account, you'll see the overview page here. Kevin, I'm using your account as an example.
Okay, just be careful with the sensitivity of the information, please.
Okay, absolutely. Let me see if we have another. You know what? Just to be on the safe side, I can pull up a duplicate account here that I have. So, okay, I've got my client here that posts pretty regularly, so she's definitely open to me using her account every now and then, so I'll show you some information based on that one.
Okay.
So when you first log on, just to be on the safe side, totally get it. When you log on to the account, you'll see your email address pop up here to the right side, so that should show you who the account holder is. You should have access to everything on this first page, starting out with your company pages, which is the free branding that we provide for you guys on Indeed. Link to connect your jobs to social media, which I don't think we do too much of at NDS. Scheduled interviews. We'll go over all of this. First things first, when you're posting a job, you guys will have a button in your account that'll give you access to post a job, and it will walk you through every single one of these options. The first thing will be the job title. Does everyone here know exactly how the job titles work on Indeed? I'm guessing have you guys had a chance to look on Indeed as a job seeker? I know some of you have had a chance to do that. I'll run through it real quick here. So on Indeed, when you are searching for a job, it'll ask you for the what and the where. So for example, when I was searching for a job here in Austin, I would type in the exact job that I was looking for and the location. That location is important because anytime a job is posted on here, your job will be shown to anyone within a 25-mile radius. And we can expand that radius depending on what you're looking for. I have clients that'll search for candidates on like a statewide or even a nationwide level. So I know you guys have several offices across the U.S. If we ever need to do statewide or nationwide searches, it's just a simple matter of me communicating that to our product team and turning that feature on for you guys. Now with each of these jobs, you'll notice that a lot of them have the same structure when we're first rolling through the first couple jobs on that first page. One of the most important
Can I ask you a question? I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. Go ahead.
But how is the algorithm working to bring up these results? So you put an account manager.
Yes.
And it's the account manager followed by relationship manager and then 4 down team member research boulevard.
Yes.
So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you plug in any job, anything with those exact words will pop up first. So for example, this job for IK that specifically says account manager, that's going to pop up first in the search results. Now that's one part of how that works, but this is extremely important because you have to put yourself in the job seeker's shoes and kind of think of what they're going to be searching for when they're trying to look for their ideal role. So anything with that in the title, account manager in the title, will pop up here on the first couple pages. The other part to that is going to be the job description. So job descriptions are important because anytime you search for example, this job here that says district manager, it doesn't have that in the title, but the job description does mention account manager in it a few times. So anytime you're creating a job description, I always encourage you to put in not just the title that you're looking for, but also include in the job description itself that title maybe 2 to 3 times. Because the way our algorithm works is it's going to pull anything with those words in the title and the job description up to the search result, top of the search result. Exactly like Google. If you go on Google, search for, let's say, I was looking for someone to mow my lawn. It's getting out of control here in Texas because it's been raining so much. So go onto Google, type in lawn service Austin, and anything that is relevant to the words that you just typed in will pop up. Further down you get in the search results, the less relevant those search results will get. Same thing with Indeed. When you type in account manager, that'll pull up all 2,536 jobs in this area that have anything to do with account manager in them for job seekers. Does that make sense?
Does. Now, based on our last conversation, you had given some insight into how the free posting versus the paid posting works. So can you talk a little bit about how that correlates with this? Right now you're talking more key, like metadata essentially, where it's looking at how frequent account manager comes in. But I'd say that I have a free posting. My understanding is regardless of the number of times I have account manager in there, every single posting that has account manager in it that comes after my initial posting pushes mine down the list until it's no longer seen as a free posting. And then my secondary understanding is if we are sponsoring an ad that says accounts manager, again, regardless of how many times account manager is placed in there, if I'm sponsoring it for $10 and another person is sponsoring it for $15, mine will always appear just past the $15 sponsorship, because it's a higher sponsorship level.
Yes, and you're exactly right. So we have 2 types of roles, campaigns on Indeed. One is the organic section, and one is the sponsored paid section. And I believe you guys have used both. With the sponsored section, you're guaranteeing the fact that your job is time-proof. So anytime a free-to-post job is posted on Indeed, it starts at the top. So at the beginning, you will get a lot of people applying to your job, seeing it, but as each job is added onto Indeed, that job falls in the search results. So it'll start out on page 1, but you also have to take into consideration how many jobs are added onto Indeed per minute. We have, I believe it's 1 job every 10 seconds is added onto Indeed. So that's part of the other reason why we monitor both postings. We monitor the sponsored postings to make sure that those are popping up at the top of the search results. So when you have a budget behind your role, that job will constantly be pushed up while the other free-to-post jobs are falling in the job search results. So, for example, this is where we see the difference in quality of candidates as well. Whenever your job is on the first couple pages, just like a Google search, most people don't scroll past pages, 3, 4, 5. Typically when they do, it's because they've been rejected from the jobs on page 1. So that's when we can kind of take a look at the performance reports and see where we're landing in terms of page placement to see if we need to make any adjustments to the budget or the job description to move up or down on the search results. In the search results. Does that make sense?
It does. I'm not quite sure I still understand the functionality of the metadata as it pertains to our placement, since it seems like if it's a free posting, it just moves down based on the number of postings that are posted afterwards with the same terminology included. And also, if it's a sponsored posting, it's based on the amount of money we're spending. So all I can surmise at this point is that if you are in a sea of $10 sponsorships, based on the number of times that term appears, your sponsorship may appear higher up on that $10 list.
It will, unless there's someone sponsoring at a higher rate than you. So, but anytime you post a job, there's always 2 parts to every job posting. One is the budget, and then the other is the job description. If we have not only a healthy budget, but also a healthy job description behind that job, we should pop up higher up in the search results than other sponsored jobs that, for example, this is one of the best examples I've ever used, but I had a lady who was looking for a talent acquisition manager or an HR director, but instead of actually listing that as the job title, she was putting Director of People and Talent. Now she had a healthy budget behind that job, but looking at it on the job seeker's side, they're not going to go onto Indeed and search for a job for Director of People and Talent. They're going to search for HR Director or Talent Acquisition Manager. So that's where the keywords come into consideration, even when you're sponsoring your job. Because when we're sponsoring a job with the wrong type of search results, it may not even pop up in search results. So when someone is searching for Director of People and Talent, it'll pop up in the impressions, but people won't actually click on it because the search results that it's going to pop up in are going to be less relevant than search results for an HR director.
Okay.
Do you guys know the difference between the number, like impressions and clicks on Indeed?
I don't.
No, I don't.
Okay. So Indeed is a pay-for-performance model. When you sponsor your job, you're paying for page placement. So you're paying for your job to be at the top of the search results. And the way you pay is anytime someone actually clicks on your job. So if someone sees your job and they're not interested in it, they're not going to click on it. You don't pay for it. So your job will pop up in search results. When a job pops up in these search results, you will get what's called impressions. So anytime you do a Google search, for example, for lawn service in Austin, you'll get 10 different results. All of those results are considered to be impressions. Now, when somebody actually clicks on any one of those search results and goes into that page, that's considered a click. That's when you actually pay. Now, our cost per click varies on Indeed. I've seen cost per click as low as 5 cents up to $3, $4. It all depends on the traffic. On a Monday, Monday through Wednesday, we're typically the busiest in terms of job seeker traffic. So if we have a lot of people on the site, your cost per click is going to be a little bit higher. However, when we don't have a lot of people on the site on, say, a Saturday, Sunday, when nobody's actually searching for jobs, that cost per click will be lower because your budget will pull back and it'll spend a little bit less because we want you to spend your budget in the right place where the candidates actually are that day. But that's also another good point to remember when you're posting your job. I would recommend starting on like a Sunday night because looking at human behavior, most people when they leave Friday, they don't want to think about work. They just had a long week. They want to go out, have some drinks, meet friends. Sunday night when they realize they're going back to the job that they don't enjoy, they start searching. It's crazy the amount of the difference between a Friday and a Sunday in terms of traffic, but always keep that in mind as well. So an impression, you don't pay for impression summary. You only pay when somebody actually clicks on your job. Now we can dig into that further once you guys start posting jobs, but one of the more important things to remember is, or to dig into, is make sure you know what your average cost per hire is. A lot of my clients take some time to figure that out to help them determine what a healthy budget is to post for their job. Let's take a look. So do you guys have any questions about like the descriptions, difference between organic and sponsored, or how it pops up in search results?
You mentioned the click count. Is that different from the number of views?
Yes. So, or number of views is in impressions. Here, I can pull up so I've got.
No, I bring that up because since I converted to the sponsored thing a couple days ago, I've gotten 2 applicants, and when I pulled up the kind of the history of the activity thing, it was showing 0 views. So I'm just curious how that could be.
That does take a minute to update. I've seen that before, but we can break that down a little bit more at the end of the month when those reports finalize, but it does take a moment to update. You're talking about like in the jobs tab, for example, here.
Yes.
Yeah. that does take a minute to update when you're posting a brand new job. But going into, we can, for example, I have
Real
my
quickly,
client
though,
who,
so we can get an answer on that, Pi. What Steve's asking is, let's say there's 69 clicks and it shows 0 views. What do the views represent?
oh, the views, that's how many people, those are impressions, so how many people have seen your job.
Okay, so it doesn't mean they clicked on it, it's just telling you that so many people have seen your posting.
Yeah, yeah. If you scroll to the bottom of that jobs page, you'll get this report called the performance report, and you can take a look at it by job or by all jobs as well, and that'll really tell you how much you're spending in each location to get clicks, impressions, and applies. So, for example, she's really struggling in Omaha here, but for example, let's take a look at this dental assistant in Florida. Out of the 5,664 impressions, 129 people have actually clicked into that job. So that's what the difference would be. 5,664 people actually viewed that job in search results, and then 129 of them decided that it interested them enough to click on it. From that comes applies. Out of the 129 people, 20 of those people decided that they wanted to apply for that job after reading the job description. If that makes sense.
Yes.
Perfect. The other thing I really like about these performance reports, and this is all free to access as well, it'll really help you determine which areas you're struggling in, and then what your page placement is compared to other people posting jobs in the same area. So this client in particular, she posts maybe 50 jobs a month all across the U.S. for dental assistants, dentists. Now this is one of those industries that's a little bit harder to hire for, just because the number of job seekers is very low compared to the number of jobs that are out there. So for a role like this, people will be spending a little bit more behind the job. But I did this with her just the other day. We had a job that was, for example, just like this Fort Worth job. It was popping up really far back in the search results. We took a look at it, and her daily sponsorship rate for this particular job was $15. I don't think it was the Fort Worth one exactly, but
That's a quick question.
Yeah.
When it says 4.7 average page, does that mean 4th page, 7th position, or 7th page, 8th position, 7.8?
Yeah, so that's an average of like what position, it's what page and position. So if it's 2.0, you're at the top of the page. 4.7 a little bit further down. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So when you're determining budget, it's really important to remember what area you're posting